everybody. I'm just here to talk to you a little about the experiences we had coming into truth and dealing with our food laws. First, I'd like to tell you a little story of our first Sabbath. We didn't know about Sabbath at all. Coming out of Christianity, you know, Sundays, we were preparing still to keep our Sunday as normal, and we had a text message or an email telling us about it's Sabbath today. What's Sabbath? So we looked in scripture, we found where Abba tells us about the Sabbath, how important it is to him, that on the different translations we looked it up at that point, it was over 100 to 105 words, depending on translation, where Abba describes the Sabbath. So we had a day planned to go buy food, to go have a braai, a barbecue. It was nice weather, and then all of a sudden everything changed. So I had to go through the deep freeze to see what we had. Oh, and we had a lovely pork roast with roast veggies. And so we sat down on our first Sabbath, praying, asking Abba to baruch this meat to our bodies, not realizing that the meat we're asking him to baruch to us was an abomination to him. Still in the same period, Jacob had a birthday. In Christianity, we were allowed to celebrate birthdays, and it's a big event, it's your special day. And then in truth, you read and you realize, but you make an idol out of yourself. It's all about you. So it was one of the last few things we celebrated that were pagan traditions. And one of our friends, a Christian, he raised his own pigs, and he brought us this beautiful roast of pork leg. We stuck it in the deep freeze, and we knew we couldn't accept it. But there was other people that night, and we didn't want to offend the person who gave us the pork. So a couple of days later, we went to return this piece of meat, and he told us, "Oh, you're going back under the law." Now, I'm not naive. I can be, but in this instance, it just sounded strange. Under the law? I had this in my heart. What does it mean? In school I studied commercial law, and law tends to be a good thing because it shows you if you're trespassing, and if you trespass you are punishable. So how could being under the law be a bad thing? I've learned in school that stepping out under law, you're not in Abba's protection anymore, under his umbrella, you're away from it, and then you're vulnerable. You were then open to the enemy to attack, and Abba can't protect you. So, under the law didn't seem such a bad thing to me. So, yeah. I wrote some notes down for a change. Normally I just speak from the heart, but I had a few things that I wanted to say. My notes are not as nice as Jacob's. Mine just tends to be scribbles, and I keep an eye here and there to see what I want to say. So, as I'm responsible for the shopping and preparing food, the responsibility fell on my shoulders. So I hit internet and I looked up clean and unclean foods. Now there's a word used, kosher, which is not in scripture. That just is the dietary laws that the rabbis added to explain things to us who don't understand clean and unclean. In scripture, Abba gives us clear lists. Sometimes, if something's not mentioned on the list, it means then that we could eat it. For instance, mushrooms. We don't eat mushrooms, as mushrooms don't have a seed. They come from a spore. Some people eat mushrooms. I don't exactly know how that would work because of the spore thing. So that's a choice, and I'd rather refrain from eating something if I'm not sure. So, one of the first things I learned, that pork is just about in everything. So, I stood in the shops reading labels for hours, trying to figure out what had pork in it. And then you learn certain words, which I'll share with you in a bit. So the first thing we noticed was confectionery, sweets. Lots of them are gummy sweets. And have a gelatine base. Marshmallows, we've got fruit juice, chewing gum. And I know that some brands actually state that they use bovine gelatine, which is fine, it comes from a cow. So the kids were the first to go, oh no, we're not going to have any treats. But just keep reading, and there are things that we're allowed. After going shopping one day, I was hungry, and while reading everything to make sure that I wasn't getting any pork stuff, I bought Rocky Roads. They were in the shops, but where they have their own bakery, so they were made on the premises. And I got home and I was busy unpacking, and I opened the Rocky Road, shoved it in my mouth and started chewing. And as all these flavours mixed in my mouth, I realised, oh no, there's a marshmallow in here. So mid-chew I stopped, had a read on the package, and it just said gelatine. So there it went. If it's not specified what gelatine, I won't buy it either. That's that. Some dairy products, some cheese, chocolate mousse, thickened creams. Again, Adele and I went shopping. And out of habit, in the dairy aisle, we pack our yogurts in, and oh, they had chocolate mousse, our favourite brand, on offer. So as girls and our chocolate tooth, we decided we'll put some in. As we were standing in line waiting to pay, Adele said, did you read the mousse? I said, why would mousse have gelatine in it? Yeah. And we had to take it back. So we couldn't have our chocolate mousse because it had a thickening agent in gelatine. Then meat products, obviously all the pork things. We have sausages here in the UK. We've got chicken ones and turkey ones and beef sausages. However, sometimes we find out that the casing the beef is in is a pork casing. So again, read the fine prints. Oh, another funny thing was when it was Passover, trying to avoid things with leaven in it. That was a trick too, because just about everything has some kind of rising agent in it. So we've learned a lot in these 7 or 8 years, and read at the end of the day. Surprisingly, medication. We've got capsules made of gelatine, some blood thinners. Heparin has got gelatine in it, and also some insulins. We found Jacob is on medication at the moment for his carpal tunnel, and I had to ring the company because the doctors didn't know. It just again stated gelatine is used. So I rang the company, and a few days later they came back to me saying no, more than likely it is pork gelatine. However, they do use different gelatines, but because pork is the cheapest one, odds are it's pork. So now, for the time being, he's being very brave, and we empty out the little capsules and mix the gunk in with yogurt, and he takes a spoonful and goes, but anyway, he gets it down. So next time when he sees the doctor, he'll ask for capsules instead of caplets, instead of capsules or tablets. A few more things that have pork products in them, or anything from the pig. Chewing gum. Sometimes fruit is coated to make them last longer on the shelves. Thickenings of soup, instant gravies, low-fat mayonnaise, body lotion, foundation, anti-wrinkle cream, shampoos for the pearly, thick, glossy shine they have, hairbrushes, paintbrushes, paints even have in, and sometimes roasted salted nuts. They'll use a gelatine coating on the nut to get the salt to stick to the nuts. Photographic film is made from the collagen from the pig bones. It's also used to improve the quality of leather. Something I didn't know, which was interesting fact, gelatine is used to put gunpowder and cordite into bullets. It's also used in explosion. It's a way of transporting the gunpowder and the cordite. And then there is this very fancy word, Cystein, I'm not sure on the pronunciation, is an amino acid made from pig bristles, human hair and duck feathers, and it's used as a softening agent in dough and we often find it in bread to extend shelf life. So the bread we buy at the shop has got that nasty little amino acid in it, which can come from feathers, duck feathers. We're not supposed to eat duck. Human hair, well, we're not supposed to eat humans. And pig bristles. And then, as you saw over here, this is a one I'm not sure how to pronounce. Suilline or Suilline, I don't know, gelatine. It's just a different word for pork gelatine. They say that from a pork, the only thing that's not used is its squeak. So, I know roughly about 182 products that contain pork. It's from what we use to cleanse ourselves with, our moisturizers, our shampoos, some soaps, I believe as well, toothpastes. What we eat. When the abattoirs slaughter these pigs, they are responsible for selling as much of it as they can, because otherwise they have to pay to have this removed or destroyed. So everything is used. The skin of the pig. They even use, I know some people smoke. It works as an artificial lung in the filter of the cigarettes. It's the hemoglobin, so to remove some of the poisons from the cigarette. I mean, it's everywhere. Now, us who are responsible for what we put in our mouths, it's up to us to be obedient, to find the products we use, to make sure that what we put in our mouths is safe, it's in line with what Abba has said, and it's about our obedience to his word. The reason Abba gave us these lists is to keep us safe. From the sea, if it has scales and fin, yay! Otherwise, nay. From land, if it chews the cud and has a split hoof, yay! Otherwise, nay. And there's reasons Abba gave us these laws. It wasn't sit in a hat and drawn out, oh, let's be funny and see what we can do to man. It's to protect us, to keep us under his umbrella of protection. And it's up to us to take those steps, to make sure that the things we feed ourselves, our children, are what he's told us to eat. I will list these words and a little description so you know what to look out for when doing your shopping. I know there's a lot of people who do a lot of things themselves. Unfortunately, I'm not that handy. But if there's any comments, any suggestions on recipes or ideas, because not... Ah! Kit Kat! Excuse me, Kit Kat's behind here. And she thinks it's fun. She's going to play with me in a minute. Our set just collapsed. So yes, if there's any recipe ideas, I know one of our friends in Australia, they'll use silverside and pastrami instead of bacon. My kids can't even remember the taste of bacon. So there's ways to get around things. We make things ourselves. We get handy and nifty, which at the end of the day is not a bad thing if we can be more self-sufficient and self-reliant. Baruch haba b'shem Yahuwah, and may you all have a most wonderful day. Shalom.